Special thanks to Jocelyn for working on this video with me. His experience with the Noobushi since the technical test has been invaluable. In this guide, we'll be covering the basics of the Noobushi, what her moves are, how to fight against other types of heroes, and what you need to be focusing on in training.
Hey, Jocelyn here. Just a disclaimer, this is a basic tutorial. We will cover some advanced topics, but this is not an advanced Noobushi guide. This lady is a goddess of death that is hard to master. But once you put in the effort, you won't want to play anyone else. The Noobushi is a hard hybrid with a focus on long range and versatile retreats. What do words like hard or hybrid actually mean? Versatile retreats for a combat-oriented game? Real hook right there, Ubisoft. Now, hard is the easiest one to decipher because, as you can probably attest to, she is definitely not easy. For example, sometimes you just get wrecked by that Rep 1 Berserker. Being a hard character requires a general knowledge of almost all her movesets before she is truly a threat. Why do you need to know most of her abilities, you might ask? Because she is squishy. You need to be able to keep your opponent at a distance because the Noobushi is easily rushed and definitely requires space for her attacks. The Noobushi is also a hybrid. Being a hybrid means that the Noobushi can quickly go on the offensive, followed by well-timed dodges, all while keeping a good distance away. When the Lawbringer and the Valkyrie came on stage, I realized all the hybrid characters have deep combos along with hidden combos, attack combos that chain really well together. As you may know, the Noobushi has some insane range, the most of any hero. Utilizing this to its fullest will make you the best there is. Knowing how and when to keep your distance, along with what moves, close or extend the distance between an opponent. Knowing when to dodge and in what direction can mean the difference between life and death, or setting up that next chain of combos. Dodging really depends on your opponent, which will require you to practice against them, which we will get into towards the end of our video. Finally, the Noobushi has versatile retreats. Now, some might throw out words like coward, weak, or weeboo.
Welcome to the rice fields,
but you must use retreats, big and small, for the Noobushi to shine. Examples of this are the Viper's Retreat, which effectively bleeds the opponent while creating space. Also, make use of her double back dodge or some precise dodges.
Now we're going to talk about certain moves. Now we broke it down into 3 different ones: openers, combos, and sweepers. These aren't limited to these, but this is what we're going to break down in this guide today.
Openers are moves you will use to initiate that encounter and fire it up. I would suggest the Slithering Thrust for a quick intro bleed, the Zone Attack, which can be done by pressing the light and heavy attacks at the same time, or slowly setting up for a forward Cobra Strike. Then you can start your combos like the Poke the Nest or mixing in a guard break after the Zone Attack. Finally, sweepers make use of AoE style moves that are hard to block and usually throw the opponent off guard, all while closing the distance between you and the opponent. My favorite sweeper is the Zone Attack, which always attacks on the right and is hidden when you trigger it while holding your guard in the left. Other types are the Sidewinder form, which is held in the left or right stance while dodging in that direction, or throwing in a simple heavy can throw an opponent out of whack. You can then use a guard break to start another chain of attacks. If this is not enough, I challenge you to learn the hidden stance. We are hoping to cover this and more advanced tactics in a later video.
Now we're going to get to the breakdown part of our guide where we talk about what it looks like to play the Noobushi against the different types of heroes. So, Jocelyn, when you come against an assassin when you're playing the Noobushi, what do you look for and what do you think about when you're fighting those kind of characters?
When I come up against assassins, I really have to watch out for these tricky little guys because they're pretty quick, as you might know, and they like to dodge around. They have a lot of kind of side dodges that you can just jab you right in the ribs with. So you really got to watch those guards, but a helpful tip against them is if they're dodging to the left, well, their attack is going to be on the left. So you just kind of have to react that way. And then you just kind of keep the pace and then close that distance between you when you're wanting to attack, and then just make sure that distance is kind of there as a buffer while you're fighting them.
So basically just use your distancing to keep the assassins at bay.
Yeah. And throw some dodges in there, because otherwise you'll just be standing around and they'll be running around you like a little scarecrow.
So let's say I started to play the Noobushi tomorrow and I'm just getting my butt handed to me by the Vanguards. What is something that you suggest and your top tips to me as a new Noobushi player? What would those top tips be?
Yeah, those Noobushis are interesting characters. I faced a couple myself. But when you're looking at the Vanguard, yeah, so Vanguards are actually pretty interesting because I've heard in a couple places that they're a good counter to the Noobushi. But while that's true that they can basically two-hit you in some cases with a heavy, I think the Noobushi is actually a great counter to them because the Noobushi has superior just dodge and movement-based attacks. So all you really have to watch for is their guard breaks, especially followed by a top attack, because that's one of their heavy hitters, especially for the Kensei. I mean, that's some of his unblockable attacks are coming from the top. And so you just want to outmaneuver him and just keep that distance and just poke him so many times. Just poke that nest.
Awesome. So heavies, like if you're going up against heavies like the Shigoki and the Conqueror and the Warlord, what are some things that anybody watching this video to do and make sure that they are mindful of?
Now, the heavies have really good defense. I mean, that Conqueror and his little shield that he just loves to hide behind. I mean, he even got the Warlord too. He has his little shield he likes to hide behind. And they're just seemingly impossible to get behind sometimes. So you really got to mix in some guard breaks and some kicks, which kicks are super helpful because the Noobushi can initiate a kick straight from hidden stance. And if you can mix that in so you're not just like standing in hidden stance for a little bit, so if you just quickly hidden stance into a kick, it'll just throw them off. You get a couple attacks in there, and this will be a longer fight. But in the end, I would just suggest cheesing him. I mean, you're going to have to throw him off a ledge if you want to get done with that guy quick. So big suggestion for elimination modes.
Yeah, because I mean, they will suck up so much damage, and like the Nobushi's not known for doing ridiculous amounts of damage like the heavies. The heavies hit you once, like the Shigoki, boom, half your health is gone, you know.
Oh man, that's true.
You know, so like with some of that, cheesing him, like people, they act like that's not a valid technique. I really do suggest it. It's part of the game, and I mean, hey, there's no honor in For Honor.
Yeah, and then also another good thing for heavies is, I mean, you do have the Shigoki, the Conqueror, and their attacks are generally really easy to dodge. And you can just dodge regularly, use that double back dodge or those kind of real precise dodges where you're just hitting it once and oh, it looks super cool when you do it. But also using hidden stance. Hidden stance works as a dodge. And then you can chain that directly into a kick or an attack and just stab him right in the back as he follows through with that attack.
Awesome. So I think we only got one more. Hybrids. Like the Noobushi. Say I'm going in as a Noobushi, I'm a noob Noobushi, and I'm going against a more veteran Noobushi. What is something that I can do as a new Noobushi player to like keep my mind on point?
So the Noobushi is really hard because they do have that long range, and I actually recently got into a fight with a new player. I could tell because I wrecked him a couple times before that. But then the last match we were like both trying to do our Viper's Retreat at each other and just crossing, making a little X with our spears. So you kind of got to get interesting, throwing in some hidden stance and breaking down that distance, and then also using that zone attack to close that distance and following it up with some lights, because they don't have, at least the Noobushi doesn't have those superior dodges. However, for the other two hybrids, for the Valkyrie and the Lawbringer, they do have some pretty good blocks, especially on the Valkyrie shield, and then the Lawbringer is just a kind of a counter character, so you really do have to throw in some guard breaks for them and just kind of wait for them to attack almost, and just use those sweeper attacks we talked about before, and just watch out for their charges, because their charges are especially important to avoid. And then especially for those two, Valkyrie will charge at you from the top, and a lot of the heaviest moves from the Lawbringer are also from the top, so you just kind of want to hold that on top, which will help you get those forward Cobra strikes or that retreat bleed, that Viper's Retreat.
But the Lawbringer, like he's like a heavy Orochi, like because he's got so many attacks that are so counter, like it's counter. Like four of his move sets are based off of countering, and so like how do you play a Noobushi? You play them by waiting for him to attack you, because that puts him off guard. He can't do a counter on you if he's attacking you. Say, you know, I just started out playing the Noobushi, and I want to get some practice in. Number one, we're going to be putting out a practice video, so be on the lookout for that. But also, what are some tips that they could start right now today to help work those new skills that they need to be practicing on?
Yeah, so with the practice, fortunately, Ubisoft did something right and gave us an opportunity to practice without being seen. So when we just get there's nobody there to see it. And also, if you have a good friend, just go in a 1v1 with them and just try out all your moves. And some of the moves I would recommend that you master and really understand is the Viper's Retreat, just because of the distance that creates along with the bleed. And then the poke the nest combo is just super effective. It'll get a bleed, and once you get that second hit down, the third hit is guaranteed. That's definitely your damage heavy attack right there. And then also using your Cobra Strikes to the left or right or even to the top just gives you great mobility to move around a lot of characters. My favorite attack is that zone attack. Just being able to use that, firing it from the left in your left guard, it will always attack on the right. So just they don't see it coming. They don't block against it unless you've been dueling them for like 99 duels, you know. Then they probably see it coming a bit. Otherwise, just try and synergize all these types of moves together, create your own chains, throw in some dodges or even some feints. The final level of the Noobushi is being able to incorporate that hidden stance in place of a dodge or before or after attacks. If you just hide that hidden stance and don't just make it obvious that, hey, I'm waiting for you, like, come get me, I'm gonna hit you with all I got. Like, make that hidden stance hidden.
Thanks for watching the video. We really appreciate you guys sticking to the end. Let us know what you think about this style of guide. What did we do right? What did we do wrong? Let us know, because we want to make our guides better. We want to make them the best 400 guides that we can make for you guys. You know, leave a comment, slap a like on it if you like the video. If you want to see more videos like this one, just think about hitting that subscribe button. And then if you also want to be extra awesome, hit that bell next to it so then you can see right when we release our videos. So we have a Discord now, and we're building this community of gamers. We're the Valence army, and we're going to be able to get together and play some games. So join that Discord. It's in the description below, and we'll see you guys in the next video.